The Galactic Council's grand military exhibition was more than just a celebration of interstellar peace through strength. It was a flex. Every 50 years, the Council invited all member civilizations to the Orion Expanse, a neutral sector of space converted into a war games arena, to showcase their military might. The event was part diplomatic spectacle, part intimidation strategy, and this year all eyes were on the newcomers, humanity. For the ancient empires of the galaxy, like the crystalline Corel Ascendancy, the brutalist Zarn Dominion, and the methodical Valari Combine, Earth was still a primitive curiosity. Though humanity had earned Council admission 2 decades ago, they'd yet to demonstrate anything that set them apart technologically. They lacked the sheer numbers of the Corel fleet, the advanced AI symbiosis of the Valari, or the raw destructive firepower of the Zarn. Most species saw them as clever upstarts, good at trade and adaptable in minor conflicts, but ultimately minor league players on a major stage. The alien empires didn't hold back. The Zarn launched their Omega-class Annihilator, a battleship 3 kilometers long, bristling with fusion lances and capable of generating its own gravity, to drag enemy fleets into its kill zone. The crowd of observers, politicians, scientists, and military leaders from across the galaxy watched in awe as it demolished a set of target drones from light years away using a focused particle burst. Thunderous applause followed. Then came the Corel's Star God Warden, a vessel that shimmered like a prism in motion. It used photonic armor and an adaptive cloaking system that rendered it invisible to over 98% of known scanning technologies. It demonstrated a new displacement cannon, teleporting a test asteroid into a simulated sun to showcase strategic relocation weapons. Spectators gasped in wonder. The commentary feeds lit up with praise for the Corel's mastery of exotic matter physics. Humanity's ship, however, was late, and when it finally arrived, it was underwhelming. Designated the Aegis Horizon, it was a sleek, matte black cruiser barely 400 meters long, minuscule compared to the alien dreadnoughts. It had no visible weapons, no ornate design, and didn't announce its entrance with a fleet of support vessels or ceremonial flybys. It simply emerged from a fold in space-time and drifted silently toward the staging zone. The laughter began almost immediately. "That's it?" one Zarn captain snorted. "They brought a courier ship to a war exhibition? Maybe it's a stealth ship, or maybe they forgot how big the universe is," joked a Valari envoy. The mockery echoed across diplomatic channels. Even neutral species found it difficult to mask their bemusement. Earth's diplomatic envoy, Ambassador Lyra Chen, made no effort to justify the choice. She stepped forward calmly and addressed the Council. "Humanity requests a demonstration slot at 1400 Standard Galactic Time. The Aegis Horizon will participate in live fire simulations under standard engagement protocols. No modifications needed." There was a pause. Some thought it was a bluff. Others assumed it was a symbolic gesture, maybe a message about peace or humility, but Earth's face showed no signs of mischief or embarrassment. Behind the calm facade, the crew of the Aegis Horizon remained silent. Captain Darius Holt sat on the bridge, his hands folded behind his back, watching the data feeds scroll in from the alien ships. His crew was made up not of decorated veterans but of Earth's best minds, physicists, engineers, and AI specialists. None of them looked nervous. They didn't need to be, because Earth hadn't come to impress the galaxy. They had come to reset the standard. What none of the other species yet realized was this: while the galactic empires had spent centuries perfecting destruction, Earth had spent decades rewriting the laws of how war even worked. And in Part 2, the galaxy would find out just how far behind they really were. The scheduled hour arrived. Alien dignitaries, military officials, and scientists assembled in the observation ring orbiting the Orion Expanse's test range, an artificial debris field packed with high-density alloys, reactive targets, and cloaked drones, all meant to simulate real combat environments. The atmosphere was still buzzing with laughter and condescension from earlier exhibitions. The Corel and Zarn displays had wowed the audience, confirming their positions as galactic juggernauts. Now it was humanity's turn. And no one expected much. As the Aegis Horizon floated into the simulation field, the commentary feeds filled with jabs. Maybe the humans will show us a clever new way to retreat, quipped a Zarn tactician. I hope they remembered to bring a weapon, added a Valari broadcast anchor. But inside the control deck of the Aegis Horizon, Captain Darius Holt stood calm, eyes fixed on the holographic display. Around him, a small team of specialists coordinated with eerie precision. There were no dramatic launch sequences, no overcomplicated interfaces, no flashing lights. Just silent, deliberate readiness. Then came the signal. Simulation start. The Aegis Horizon disappeared. Not in a gradual fade or an observable cloak, it simply vanished from every galactic sensor system, including the Council's own. No gravimetric reading, no thermal trail, no EM signature. The observers froze. Whispers spread. Even the AI-assisted monitors reported loss of contact, target unresolved. Moments later, a nearby asteroid nearly 40 kilometers across erupted into incandescent vapor. The destruction was clean, absolute and instantaneous. No energy buildup, no projectile, just silence, and then a glowing cloud of nothing where a celestial body used to be. What was that? A Corel general hissed. Did they use an orbital bomb? Negative, one Valari analyst answered, voice tightening. There was no entry vector, no radiation spike, no warp signature, nothing. It just ceased to exist. Before the Council could react, 3 high-speed drones designed to simulate evasive maneuvers entered the arena. They were standard across all testing exercises, zigzagging between asteroids at relativistic speeds to challenge targeting systems. Alien warships usually struggled to hit one. Hitting all 3 was considered impossible. The Aegis Horizon reappeared, behind the lead drone, then blinked again. 3 flashes of light, no louder than camera flashes, followed. 3 drones disintegrated mid-flight. No explosions, no debris. Dead silence. Alien observers scrambled for explanations. Theories flooded the channels. A quantum displacement weapon, tachyon-based fragmentation tech, a cloaked kinetic strike. But none held up. The Council's own ultra-high-speed telemetry systems had captured nothing. No launch, no beam, no time, delay. It wasn't just unseen, it was unknowable. Inside the Council chamber, a Valari professor whispered the question that would echo across empires for years. What physics are they using? Back on the Aegis Horizon, Captain Holt gave a single nod. His crew initiated the final stage of the demonstration, a precision strike simulation. 4 decommissioned alien cruisers, donated to the Council for weapons testing, were placed at various points around the debris field. All had hardened armor, shield cores, and were set to active defense mode. The human ship didn't fire missiles. It didn't launch drones, it just phased in and out of visibility near each target. In under 10 seconds, all 4 cruisers had melted neatly down their central spines, sliced open by an invisible force that left no scorch marks, no radiation, trails, and no known technological signature. Council representatives stood speechless. The Valari envoy turned pale. The Corel ambassador narrowed all 6 eyes. The Zarn admiral folded his arms tightly, saying nothing. Humanity, it seemed, had shown up with something no one had anticipated. Not brute force, not overwhelming numbers, but a completely new paradigm. The alien empires had evolved for war over millennia. Humanity had evolved for disruption. As the Aegis Horizon calmly exited the simulation zone, leaving nothing but vapor and confusion in its wake, the laughter from earlier had fully died, and what settled in its place was fear. Panic spread like wildfire through the Galactic Council chambers. What had begun as a grand showcase of technological superiority had turned into a silent reckoning. The Aegis Horizon hadn't just impressed, it had shattered every known assumption about war, weapons, and the limits of physics. Species who had considered themselves untouchable were now scrambling to understand how a supposedly primitive race had done the impossible. Within hours of the demonstration, the Council's emergency Science committee convened. Alien experts from dozens of species pored over every frame of data from the test field. What they found or didn't find terrified them. There were no energy emissions, no tachyon trails, no subspace distortions, no quantum entanglement signatures. Nothing. It was as if the Aegis Horizon had violated the basic causality of the universe. The Council's best minds were forced to accept an unthinkable truth. Humanity was operating with an entirely different set of physical principles. The accusations came quickly. The Corel Ascendancy demanded a formal investigation, alleging that Earth had broken at least 3 interstellar weapon development treaties. The Zarn Dominion accused humanity of constructing dimensional warping devices, which were strictly banned under Article 17 of the Armament Stability Accord. Others whispered of stolen technology, or ancient artifacts uncovered and reverse-engineered from dead precursor civilizations. Ambassador Lyra Chen stood calmly before the Council Assembly as the accusations flew. When finally given the floor, she offered only a single response. "We are happy to open the Aegis Horizon for inspection." The shock was immediate. Every other major power had gone to extremes to hide their warship designs, cloaking even basic blueprints behind encryption, secrecy, and lethal counterintelligence. The idea that a species would invite foreign examination of their most powerful weapon was unthinkable, and yet Earth did. A delegation of top-tier alien scientists, engineers, and military officials boarded the Aegis Horizon under tightly monitored conditions. What they saw inside only deepened the mystery. The ship's interior was stark and functional. No unnecessary ornamentation, no biointerfaces, no crew symbiosis systems. Instead, it was filled with strange nodes pulsing with muted light, smooth panels without buttons or touchscreens, and a central core chamber that defied every known scanning technology. At the heart of it all was the sentience core, a distributed, quantum intelligence that functioned across multiple physical dimensions. It wasn't a traditional AI, nor was it fully organic. The human crew referred to it as Polaris, and it didn't speak in language, only in decisions. Even more bewildering was the power source. Inside a reinforced chamber was a micro-singularity, a stabilized black hole no larger than a grain of sand, suspended in a gravitational matrix of human invention. Every alien present agreed, this should be impossible. The amount of energy required to contain such a force was staggering, and yet the Aegis Horizon drew power from it like it was a battery. But the true horror was the weapon system. At first, the visitors assumed the ship had no guns because it relied on stealth and mobility. Then they found the node labeled Judgment Lance. There were no moving parts, no targeting arrays, no ammo reserves. The weapon's function was described in 2 words: localized causality collapse. The scientists barely understood what that meant. In simple terms, the Judgment Lance didn't destroy targets. It erased the outcome of their continued existence. They didn't explode. They didn't burn. They simply ceased to have ever been in that exact form. No shields could stop it. No armor could deflect it. It didn't bypass defenses. It made them meaningless. The Council's mood shifted from pride to terror. If Earth had more of these ships, they could not be stopped. If they chose conquest, no force in the galaxy could resist. And worst of all, if this was their first public showing, what else were they hiding? But humanity made no threats, no ultimatums, no demands. Ambassador Chen said only this: "We built the Aegis Horizon not to dominate, but to ensure we'd never again be underestimated." The implication was clear. Humanity hadn't come to play by the galaxy's rules. They came to change them. The storm that followed the Aegis Horizon's demonstration rippled across the galaxy like a supernova. Council channels buzzed with urgency. Intelligence agencies scrambled to determine whether Earth had more ships like it. Military alliances fractured as panic spread through once confident empires. The Galactic Council itself entered emergency session, and for the first time in over a century, the possibility of full-scale interstellar war loomed, not because of aggression, but because of fear. But Earth didn't press for power. They didn't broadcast threats. They didn't demand tribute. Instead, they sent a proposal. Ambassador Lyra Chen, flanked by her silent escort of Earth Defense Command officers, stood once again before the Council Assembly. The Aegis Horizon hovered silently in orbit behind her, like a black blade balanced on a razor's edge. Its presence needed no announcement. "We are not your enemies," she began, her voice calm and firm. "We are your future partners. But if this galaxy remains chained to outdated doctrines of dominance and deterrence, then we will always be at the mercy of fear. And fear, as history has taught us, leads to war." She unveiled the Horizon Protocol, a sweeping new framework that would redefine interstellar conflict and diplomacy. The core tenets were simple but radical. Technological transparency. Member civilizations must disclose breakthrough weapons that bypass conventional defense systems, not for disarmament, but for mutual awareness. Sovereign defense rights. Every species maintains the right to develop advanced defenses, but first-strike technologies like causality collapse weapons are forbidden from offensive deployment. Strategic de-escalation fleet. Earth would provide a limited number of Horizon-class vessels under joint council authority, not as conquerors, but as peacekeepers, to enforce ceasefires and protect neutral zones. Scientific collaboration charter. Earth would share non-weaponized applications of its physics advancements with peaceful civilizations for medicine, energy, and interdimensional exploration. The reactions were mixed. The Zarn Dominion's war. Council voted unanimously to reject the protocol, until intelligence confirmed Earth's industrial capacity could produce up to 12 Horizon-class vessels within a decade. They reversed their stance the next day. The Corel Ascendancy's Matriarch Council called the proposal a knife hidden behind a rose, but agreed to open diplomatic talks when they received a data packet showing Earth's method for stabilizing dark matter into viable energy nodes, something the Corel had failed to accomplish in 200 years. The Valari Combine, ever pragmatic, requested immediate bilateral negotiations for access to Earth's dimensional mapping algorithms, which could revolutionize their quantum computing arrays. It became clear. Earth didn't need to take the galaxy by force. They could lead it by gravity of capability. Soon, smaller nations who had long lived in the shadow of greater empires rallied behind the protocol. Worlds tired of being caught in the crossfire between giants saw Earth not as a threat, but as an equalizer. The Galactic Council ratified the Horizon Protocol after 78 hours of intense debate. For the first time, a unified doctrine of post-war cooperation was established, not built on fear of destruction, but on the sobering awareness that war had changed, and that one species had crossed into a new era of capability that no others yet understood. And through it all, Earth remained composed. Their message was never one of dominance. It was a declaration. We are not here to kneel. We are not here to conquer. We are here to stay. The final scene played out not with explosions, but with silence. As the Aegis Horizon departed the exhibition zone, it didn't flare into subspace like other ships. It simply bent reality, folded the stars around itself, and was gone, without a trace, without a ripple. But everyone knew humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same.